interrupted schedule again. Easter, am I right? Didn't even have time to do my hair, so regrettably you're all just gonna have to look at my amazing physog. Hello, I'm Casper KZ, and we'll return to regularly scheduled programming very soon, I promise. I was merely out of time this week due to the holiday and some mild illness. It was also Anzac Day this week. For those of you outside the land of Oz, that stands for Australian New Zealand Army Corps, I think. It is a day where we honour the memory of those who fell at Gallipoli defending our freedom. By watching football. They died defending our freedoms, so I have no problem with anything anyone wants to do on that day. But desperate politicians will complain about anything even mildly foreign. Releasing a Marvel film on this, the Day of Remembrance? Truly appalling. There's a fucking football game on every Anzac Day. Because it's Anzac Day. They have the same two teams play each other every year that day. And that leads me neatly to today's subject. Australia. The fuck is it? Through a series of posts and FAQ websites, I intend to answer queries and concerns in reference to Terra Australis. That's what it was called by the Greeks, and then subsequently everyone else, before anyone really knew it was there. It just means southern land. First international concern, fairy bread. This is a sacred tradition passed down through the generations, speculated to have originated with actual fairies. What we are left with now, centuries after the fact, is white bread, buttered heavily, and then adorned with sprinkles, preferably hundreds and thousands. It typically only appears at children's birthday parties now. It is still perceived in Australia, however, as the nectar of the gods and the only true way to achieve immortality. That's why we give it to children. There's a lot of things in Australia apt to kill you, but fortunately most of us have been immunised with fairy bread. Next item on the agenda, the Wiggles. What are they? Some sort of sentient virus, it appears, slowly laying claim to any number of innocent children's entertainers. Not a lot is known about their origins. Most people do not perceive them as a threat. If you touch them, you will go temporarily blind. The national anthem is a song called TNT by the tremendously successful rock and roll export Duk. It is played at most sporting events, especially competitive partying. On to the currency now. It is officially known as dollary-doos, but there is a lot of slang, such as dollars, monies, or buckazoids. It is, of course, the gayest-looking capital in the world, automatically making it the best, and no one has seen any of it since the advent of PayPass. The national animal is the caramello koala. That's the one most commonly known to foreigners as the drop bear. Falls out of trees, eats people, that guy. As to the weather now, we as a nation have been trying to outlaw weather since 1967, when then Prime Minister Harold Holt disappeared at sea, presumed drowned. Unfortunately, the climate's legal team is well versed in said proceedings, and regrettably no Prime Minister since has suddenly disappeared. Thanks, weather. Couldn't kill John Howard. That asshole was Prime Minister for like 100 years. Now, I know some of you Americans are curious, and yes, we do all own kangaroos. It's federal law. I named mine Jezza Sick Cunt McVB, and I ride in his pouch to the post office, which is, of course, 3/4 of a mile away down a desert road. They're venomous. Everything is venomous, even the trees, which are known to eat children. On to sharks now. We sacrifice on average one fuckwit imbecile every 2 months in order to keep struggling news outlets afloat, and in turn kill 50,000 sharks a year. No reason. It's an entirely justified and sustainable model we've got there, no further questions. Now perhaps you've heard the term boat people. What are they? Well, essentially they're hybrids, having descended from a lineage of people that made a pact with an ancient boat deity. So now, we as a country will not grant them asylum from the inhospitable, hostile places they're fleeing, because we know secretly they're just going to turn into boats, thus undermining our entire operation here. Moving on to the boomerang. We don't know either. It is presumed to be Atlantean technology. Back to fauna for a moment. What is an emu? Well, Australia is a land full of incredibly hostile birds. It is, as far as I know, the only place on the planet where an hawk will throw a snake at you. Now, given the tactical history of the emu, it being the only bird in the world to have won a war against human beings, that's for real. I suspect this of being the emu's idea, just letting us know that if we try that shit again, they're prepared. I believe it is also they who instigated the springtime aerial dominance of the magpie. They're the ones who told them to go for the eyes. Emus also appear to have concocted time travel, for there now exist dinosaur birds. The cassowary is an 8-foot-tall, 1.5-ton turkey that served as inspiration for the alien in the Predator films. Seemingly an unintended consequence of emus' invention of time travel is the presence and proliferation of the crocodiles. There is estimated to be at least 1 trillion of them in urban centers alone. They are currently running a competing public transport franchise. The emus have also enlisted demoralizing tactics as exhibited by the cackling kookaburras and seagulls. Vegemite isn't real, that's just leftover mustard gas that has congealed and turned into something else. This ice cream was a secret government plot to turn the population homosexual. It has mostly worked, we are in fact all gay now. The Valley of the Giants, located in southern Western Australia, is in fact occupied by giants who happen to resemble trees and move when you're not looking. You can pat them for $10 dues. 000 is the emergency number here, and dialing it will summon a kangaroo with an emergency beer. The legal drinking age was changed to whenever the cops ain't looking in 1989 to coincide with "she'll be right, mate," the official position of the government at the time. The sound of greensleeves coming from over the horizon was meant only to taunt you with the possibility of soft-serve ice cream. There is in fact no van, merely the collected memories of when there once was happiness manifesting forever outside of one's reach. Now it is true that out of the world's top 10 most deadly spiders, all of them are Australian, but only 3 of them know how to drive motor vehicles. So we're still ahead. And finally, as you may have heard, Australia isn't real. I have actually just been brainwashed by the New Zealand government and dropped into kind of a big city that just happens to have kilometers of coast that takes literal hours to arrive at. It's definitely fake. So that's that, everyone. Feel free to visit the Land of Oz. It's a weird, picturesque place that doesn't exist, filled with obnoxious laziness, drunk children, and indecipherable augmentations to the English language. Tim Tam Wagon Wheel. Delicious. It is officially known as dollary dues. It might as well be. So many people call it that. And I don't just mean the female populace. Classic. Thanks for watching, everybody. Next week, back to normal for sure. There's books, video games, and comics to review, and who else is going to do that? Not to mention so very many articles to write, on top of all the other eclectic stuff I do. You ever seen my very not-for-everyone parody news show? Maybe don't watch that.